Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today. My name is Lucille Flores. I'm an admissions counselor at Azusa Pacific University, and welcome to our College of the Arts School of Music Academic Connect. We are so thrilled to have amazing and incredible faculty with us. You're going to meet some of our finest professors in the School of Music, and we look forward to answering all of your questions. So if you have any questions for us, I want to direct your attention down below to the Q&A chat box. Go ahead and drop your questions in there. We are going to be delegating those to our professors so they hear a little bit about what you're interested in and maybe what might be puzzling you guys as you pursue a degree at a specific university. And so thank you so much again for joining us. We're going to go ahead and dive into some introductions so that you guys can get to know our top tier faculty. So first, we're going to start with Dr. Martin. If you go ahead and introduce yourself, we'd greatly appreciate it.
Great. Well, welcome all. It's great to have you here with us tonight, and we're thrilled to get to chat with you a little bit here. My name is Stephen Martin, and I am a professor here in the School of Music, overseeing the Music and Worship Studies division, and also representing the music studies as a whole tonight. So I'll just make a couple of brief remarks about the School of Music, and you'll also hear from our other faculty tonight as well. They'll have some remarks to make. But as a School of Music, this is a remarkable community for a number of reasons. And a couple of those, one, just the faculty and the level of care about the success and flourishing of our students here. And the same is true for the students caring for each other, the community here, in a level of excellence and in a level of everybody working together. So Lucille, is now a time to chat about worship studies and the whole program? Great. So I'll chat about 3 programs within the music studies area. The first is composition. So we have a Bachelor of Music in composition, and we have remarkable faculty in this area. Part of the proximity factor for APU being close to Hollywood and the greater Los Angeles region puts us in close proximity to a number of opportunities in terms of faculty who are working directly in the industry. Mark Gasparo, for example, who is the head of our composition department. I'm guessing that everyone here has seen a number of films that he has played on, recorded on, and or orchestrated music for. Music on films like Incredibles and Incredibles 2 and Up and Cars 2 and Jurassic World, and the list goes on and on and on. And I could list so many accolades for all of our composition faculty. And so our students and alumni are just doing great work in this field. And it's an exciting area to be a part of. I'll talk about music education for a minute. So in music ed, we have, again, wonderful faculty who are leaders in this particular field. And the degree in music education is a degree in pre-teacher certification. So a Bachelor of Music in Music Education. And the way that the state of California works is there's a 4-year Bachelor of Music degree in this field, followed by 1 year of certification through the School of Education and an observation overseen by a master teacher from the School of Music. So we have a number of alumni now teaching across the United States who are graduates of that particular degree. And it's just a wonderful program as well. And then I'll briefly mention the music and worship area. That's the area that I happen to oversee as well. And this is an area where we have 8 concentrations just in this degree that deal with vocal and instrumental performance, songwriting, global worship, music production, biblical studies, Christian ministries, and fine arts. And our students just have really enjoyed the breadth and depth of those possibilities in studying. There's also something within the program called the Worship Studio program, and that is a 4-semester rotation dealing with genre-specific studies music directing, collaborative songwriting, production, and leadership skills. So that's been a vibrant part of the program as well. And again, we have alumni serving around the world as graduates of this degree. So there you go. There's my brief little overview, and we can come back and kind of chat through questions later on.
Amazing, amazing. Thank you so much for sharing that, Professor Martin. If you have questions about the programs he just shared, please put them in the Q&A. We'd love to dive deeper with you all so you can get those, I would say, finite details answered. Next, we're going to hear from our wonderful Dr. or Professor Russell.
Thank you, Lucille. Hello, everyone. Thank you for coming out on this, whatever night this is, Tuesday night, to come to our presentation. And I am the chair of the Music Performance Department. I also head up the graduate instrumental conducting program, and I teach undergraduate conducting as well. So with the performance area, you might want to think of it as kind of the conservatory portion of the School of Music. It covers everything almost on the classical end for whatever instrument that you may play. So piano, guitar, string instrument, woodwind, brass, percussion, voice. It's all in this department. You'll get a very intense training that can set you up for whatever your next steps might be, whether it's going to graduate school, whether it's going to go teach, whatever it may be. To this department brings you up to a very high level of performance. And we have a lot of choirs here you can be involved in. We have a university chorale, we have a masterworks chorale, women's choir, men's choir, gospel choir, chamber singers. We have a very good opera program. On the instrumental side, we have the symphony, we have a wind ensemble, symphonic band, guitar ensemble, and a thriving chamber music program. So you'll have no lack of things to do in here. And then as Professor Beatty, when he speaks, he'll speak to you more about some of the performance opportunities that you can have as well, because even though we're three departments, we still do collaborate with one another. And we find that an important component in giving you a solid musical education. Our faculty is extremely accomplished. We have many members of the LA Philharmonic who are here. We have a lot of them who play in the Hollywood movie studios and have played on so many of the movies that you see nowadays. More than likely one of our faculty or more than one of our faculty has played on those films. We have members of the LA Opera as well. So you'll be training with professionals who are working in the field right now to give you this real world experience. And I have a little video to share for you. And this is from when we were in full swing. And this is the orchestra and the Masterworks Chorale. And we're doing this big film score called Alexander Nevsky by Prokofiev. And here's just a couple minutes of it. So that's just a little taste of what one of our ensembles sounds like. So for all of you here, hope that you get a chance to be a part of it and be a part of our School of Music. So with that, thank you. I'd like to turn it back to Lucille and to Professor Beatty.
Yes, amazing. Thank you so much for sharing that. I know that Professor Russell shared some of our musical groups that we have on campus. If you heard any of those, I'd love to hear what group you might want to be a part of. So if you could put that in the chat, like you want to be part of the choir or you want to be part of gospel choir, drop that in the chat so that we can see what you're interested in. I'd love to be able to interact with you guys that way. And that video, I mean, it means so much to me because I see some of my friends in there and some of my own students that I've recruited in the past. It's been amazing. So it's incredible to think that you could be in that video that we're showing next year. So amazing, amazing. Thank you for sharing that. But feel free to drop whatever musical group you might be interested in. I'd love to see that in the chat. Awesome. Wonderful, Dr. Beatty. Or Professor Beatty, we're going to go ahead and move forward with you. If you can share with us what you do on campus, everything that you're going to share with us in regards to your content, the videos, the media, what classes you teach, what's your experience at APU? You're muted right now, Professor.
There we go. That's better. As I was saying, that was a lot of questions, Lucille. Putting me under a lot of pressure and strain here, but I'll see what I can do to handle it.
You're fantastic, and I have no doubts with what you're going to present.
I appreciate your confidence. It's really great for y'all to have dropped in tonight and to let us bend your ear for a couple of minutes about what it is that we do here at APU. We take full advantage of our proximity to Los Angeles and to Hollywood and to the fact that it's one of the 3 major musical hubs in the country. And we feel that that's a tremendous advantage for us because, as Professor Russell said, we draw upon working professionals to populate our faculty. We have people that have been doing the thing that they teach for many years, not just talking about it. We feel that's a great advantage for us and a great advantage for students who have the opportunity to sit down one-on-one with someone who's been doing for 20 or 30 years the thing that the student wants to do as well. I chair the area called commercial music, and generally speaking, that's for somebody that wants to go into the music industry in some way, shape, or form. You know, a lot of our parents think that if we major in music, there's only 2 options. You can teach or you can perform, and if you perform, then you're going to be living in a box under a bridge somewhere. You know, that's what mom and dad often think about music. But the fact of the matter is, as you've already heard from Dr. Martin and from Professor Russell, there are so many ways to be successful in music and to have a really, really stable long-term career in music. And in commercial music especially, we are all about doing 2 things: equipping students to be better at what they do and giving them some new skills so that they can have the best possible opportunity to have a career in music. We have 5 tracks in the commercial music program. We have instrumental performance, vocal performance, audio recording, composing and arranging, and music business. Every student picks at least one of those tracks to pursue, and each one has areas of specialization, but also each track gets exposure to all aspects. We think of our preparation for our students as really broad. If you come and you want to do vocal performance, you're going to still get the chance to do some producing and some audio recording and some arranging and learning about how to use the internet to advance your career. So that even though each track is specialized, each track is exposed to all of the things that we're talking about here, because a lot of students, when they come, they don't know exactly what they want to do. And that's actually perfectly fine with us. We have students who come to APU, and after their first year, they say, you know, I thought I wanted to do this thing in music, but now I want to do that thing. And we welcome that. We welcome students to have the opportunity to try different things and then make an informed decision. And it's okay if you don't know exactly what you want to do when you come. But we do think that coming to APU is a great place to study music for the reasons that we've indicated. In commercial music in particular, I think one of our biggest advantages is our internship program. We have great connectivity with various aspects of the music industry. We have over 20 years now of having this program in existence, and so we have APU alums that are in all parts of the music industry around Southern California. And we have a great record of placing our students in internships doing the thing that they want to do. And many of those internships turn directly into job offers. So that's a real direct conduit from education to employment. And we've had students be placed with I think it's over 150 different companies, recording studios, record labels, publishing companies. So there's a path. There's a really direct path from coming to school and going to college and ending up with a job. And we're excited about the fact that we're able to offer that path. One of the things that we have ensemble-wise that's very unique to APU is that we have a studio orchestra. And for us, this is it's like the symphony orchestra, but this is an orchestra that plays music that's primarily intended for film or for video games. It's conducted by Professor Mark Gasparo, whom Dr. Martin mentioned earlier is also the head of our composition area. It provides our students with the opportunity to perform, to arrange, to compose, to orchestrate, and in the case of this piece as well, for our audio recording students to actually engineer the finished product. So let me just give you an example of our studio orchestra, and this is called the Space Suite. What did I do? Not bad, eh? Not bad at all. That's some really great student performing, student production, and it's really primarily a student-led endeavor, and it's just an example of the quality of the things that our students are doing while they're here at APU. So y'all ought to come and join us because it's a lot of fun. Okay, Lucille, back to you. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much, man. That's incredible. And I don't know about you guys, but I don't have one bone of musical talent in me. I can't even hold a tune. So to see and hear what we provide and how our students fine tune their skills is just amazing. It just blows my mind. And my favorite event that you guys put on is Celebrate Christmas. It brings me to tears every single year. And so I've probably been to every show for the last like 5 or 6 years, and it's amazing. Thank you, everyone, for sharing all of your specialties, the areas that you guys teach in, and I think are really, really talented in being able to share what we have to offer for these students. So we do have some questions, but I did want to let you know someone out there is a tuba player and they're interested in music education with possibly performing. So if you're looking for a tuba player, we do have one in the audience, but we're going to go ahead and go through our questions. So the first question that we have here is, how would you double major in music education and performance? And so feel free, whoever feels like that's their area of expertise, to jump in and answer that question. But how would you double major in music education and performance?
Yeah, I'll just briefly answer and then my colleagues can respond as well. So we deal mostly in Bachelor of Music degrees, which are slightly different than Bachelor of Arts degrees. Bachelor of Arts typically have a little bit more general ed courses that those students are taking. And Bachelor of Music is more of a professional quality degree that allows more focused studies in music. And so each Bachelor of Music degree, for example, the Bachelor of Music in Music Education, as well as the BM in Music Performance, are fairly robust degrees. And there's the possibility of a double major with a minimum of 150 units for a student to graduate with 2 majors. So that's just kind of a broad overview. And then Professor Russell or Professor Beatty may have other aspects they'd like to mention.
Just in general, we absolutely allow students to double major, just as within commercial music, you can pursue more than one track. It's just a matter of understanding that if you're going to take on that extra load, it's going to take some extra time, because all of our music degrees tend to be kind of unit intensive. There's a lot of work to do, but you can absolutely do it, and we'll help you along the way. Just expect that it'll probably take a little more than just 8 semesters to do such a thing.
And also, just to throw in, the way the National Academy of Schools of Music work, you can get a Bachelor of Music, and then you can get a concentration in something else. So you can get a BM in Music Performance with another extra concentration in Music Education as well. So it all ties down to the classes that you take and the overlap of classes and so on.
Amazing.
Yeah, if you're up for it and you feel motivated to do it, we will help you on that track.
Wonderful. Thank you. That was a great explanation. A question here is coming about songwriting. What are some classes that someone will take if they're interested in songwriting?
Within commercial music, we have the composing arranging track, which encompasses songwriting as well. We do have courses in songwriting. We also have courses in production, so that students learn not only to write songs, but to be able to create great demos of their songs. And there's also a songwriting track within the music and worship degree program. Is that correct, Dr. Martin?
That's right. Yeah, something very similar there. Mm-hmm.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. Hopefully that answers your question. The next one we have is specifically for Professor Russell. What musical groups do you have that would need a bass guitar player?
Okay, so bass guitar, yes, so welcome. And I think, yeah, and I think you can, if you play upright bass, we can certainly put you in the orchestra and some of the other ensembles. Professor Beatty can talk about the bass guitar, because that would probably more fall under his area.
Right. So if your primary instrument is the electric bass guitar, plenty of places to play. We have a group called No Cover, which is a contemporary pop and rock and funk and emo and alternative and country and R&B group that covers a lot of territory. We have a really thriving jazz program with a number of jazz combos, 2 jazz big bands. We also have a couple of other groups that are more contemporary vocal groups that utilize a rhythm section. And the other thing is that we have a really thriving chapel music program that's not part of the School of Music, but many of our music majors, especially on instruments like keyboard, guitar, bass guitar, get involved in playing for some of our music worship teams in the chapel programs. So, yeah, we have several bass guitar majors here at APU now, and they seem to be having a great time.
And it's also worth noting, too, that as I mentioned in my opening talk, that the departments really work together like this. We're not our individual silos. So students in performance, like string players, they also play in the studio orchestra as well. So they're playing symphony and studio, and some of the commercial music wind players will also play in the orchestra and in the wind ensemble. So we love to find ways to have students get as versatile a music education as possible.
Great. Thank you for sharing. And I mean, my family would be so embarrassed that I said bass versus bass. So I am appreciative of you guys being so gracious of me. Yeah, they have a strong family of musicians, so they would be very embarrassed by me right now, but we won't tell them. And all of you in the audience, don't tell them either, okay?
No one noticed, I promise you.
Oh, perfect. Now everybody did, and this is recorded, so hopefully they'll go back.
They won't notice it in the future.
Excuse me. Wonderful. Well, yeah, just want to remind you guys, keep sending your questions. We have quite an influx of them, which is great, but we want to get to your answers. So keep sending those questions in. The next question that we have is, what different kinds of music do students get to write and compose in commercial music programs? I know we might have covered this a little bit, but maybe we need a little more detail on this question. So what different kinds of music do students get to write and compose in commercial music?
We tend to get a lot of students who, again, obviously because of our proximity to Hollywood, a lot of students who want to write for film and who want to write for our video games. The thing to remember is that that's a very narrow sliver of the world of being a composer. And not everybody that wants to be a film composer ever gets there. So we don't discourage anybody, and we do everything we can to put everybody on a trajectory right where they want to go. But we also want our students to understand that, but if you want to be a composer, there's a lot of ways to make a really good living as a composer. So we try to tailor it on the one hand towards the students' desires, but on the other hand, to kind of broaden your horizons and make you more marketable and in more different ways.
Great. Thank you so much for sharing that. All right, now our next question that we have, and feel free to answer towards your expertise, but is business incorporated in commercial music? This particular student wants to major in music and minor in business because they want to own their own studio, maybe their own record label one day.
We have a mogul, a future mogul. That's what we've got going here. That's great. I love it. Yes, we have one of our 5 tracks is music business. So if that is if that's your desire, that track would be right up your alley. We definitely do also incorporate some courses from our School of Business, and it is all about that very thing, about owning a record label or about owning a recording studio and understanding the way the business works, seeing how the machine operates. So, like I said before, every commercial music major gets exposure to some of that.
That's wonderful. Thank you so much. The next question we have is, I think, specifically for Professor Russell, but if anyone wants to add in, they can totally add in. It says, are there ensembles that use voice and instruments? If so, are they audition only, or can anyone join those?
So for voice and instruments, it would be with our choirs, frequently they do perform with instrumentalists of some sort. Our opera program also does have that. And I know Professor Beatty's ensemble, some of his ensembles do combine those as well. But a lot of times what happens is a choir will be rehearsing a piece that might have instrumental accompaniment, and then 2 of the groups will get together. You see that a lot in our Christmas programs as well that Lucille mentioned at the beginning, where the orchestra may accompany all the choirs together, or it may be, Professor Beatty knows, maybe chamber singers and jazz band may get together. So there's lots of possibilities for collaboration here.
The piece that I played for you all that was done by the studio orchestra, did you notice that there were voices in there? There was actually a number of singers involved in that piece as well. So yeah, we do a lot of mixing with instrumentalists and with vocalists, definitely.
And it happens both in the classical, commercial, and then also things like Worship Studio. We have vocalists, instrumentalists working alongside chapel programs, as Professor Beatty mentioned a moment ago. So we really value that experience for our students.
That's amazing. Thank you so much for sharing. And I wish I had a better ear. So all of you in the audience, you better have a good ear for music. I'm assuming you do if you're interested and you're here at this cadet. Going off of that question, I wanted just to continue to ask, what are the music opportunities for students that are not music majors? Do they still get to participate in the ensembles and musical groups on campus? Is that specifically music majors only?
It can be, if you're not a music major, you are welcome to perform in one of our ensembles as well. A lot of them are audition only, so we just may need to connect you with the director. But especially our choirs, we have a lot of non-majors who are in there. So, I mean, if you have a passion for that, by all means do it. So if it's choirs, our instrumental groups as well, we've had lots of non-majors in there as well.
Great, amazing. Thank you so much for sharing that. All right, so let's see. The next question we have here is, with classes being over Zoom, and that's just for students to be aware, our classes currently are over Zoom. It is our full hope and prayer that we'll be face-to-face in the fall, but we are currently over Zoom. So with that in mind, with classes being over Zoom, is there a possibility that students could shadow in classes? I'd love to sit in a class and observe what classes are like at APU.
There is a chance of doing that, absolutely. And I see Christy Hawkins is on here, and I know that there's a specific website and a link that you can go to that you can sign up for whatever is of interest to you. Christy's so fast, look at that. So yeah, so it's there in the chat right now. So go ahead and click on that, and then whichever one or ones you may be interested in, by all means, go ahead and sign up. But I think all of us at some point have had some students visiting us.
Great. What would be some samples of classes that students can visit that are watching today?
Well, I think there's a whole variety of them. I mean, it could be anything from one of the ensembles to a theory class to a history class. I mean, I think there's a whole variety of things on there. And if there's something that you're interested in that you know we offer and you don't see, just go ahead and contact us and we'll set you up.
Great. Wonderful. Thank you so much for sharing that. The next question we have is in regards to internships. And so students that are watching with us today, we do ask that our students participate in what's called service credits. So there are internships that can fulfill that within your service learning, but specifically within music, what are internships that students have had that you guys have available? And do you help connect students to internship opportunities?
Well, in commercial music, we have, as I said earlier, quite a long list of various types of companies that have taken our students as interns. And those opportunities can be anything from, we've had students that have worked on American Idol on the TV show as an internship. We have students that have worked for NARAS, which is the organization that puts on the Grammys every year. We have had students that work for ASCAP or BMI, which is one of the performance rights organizations. We've had students that work for various record labels, for various publishing companies, for production companies, companies that put on the concert events. Yeah, it's a wide variety, and seems like, and like I said, we try to do the best that we can to tailor those internship opportunities to align with the student's career desires.
Mm-hmm. And even also, I do get a lot of inquiries from professional organizations that are wanting students for a gig. So says, you know, can you provide a string quartet for our wedding or our event? Or I know we've sent students before to record, like I think it was some Japanese anime thing that we had some students that were involved in it. And we found over time that people do come to us because they know the quality of student that we have here. And so students, while they're here, they even have a chance to go and make money on their instruments through doing different gigs. So it's something that a lot of our students do appreciate and do like about coming here.
Yeah, and on that note, just speaking from a worship studies perspective, many of our graduating seniors this May are already spoken for. There are employers waiting in line to hire them. And much like Professor Beatty mentioned a moment ago, we have a long list of churches and ministries that are seeking out our students and end up leading directly to often a job as a result of their internship. So it's been a really exciting thing for us.
And I should also mention that, I mean, a couple special things. A couple of years ago, we had a faculty member who was performing at Carnegie Hall, and he actually asked some APU students to join him in his performance at Carnegie Hall. And for a couple of times, I've done some concerts with orchestras in China, and they've allowed me to bring some APU students with me on that trip. And so then they get to play in the big professional orchestra in China and get that experience as well, aside from the cultural experience that you get to go there.
That's great. Thank you everyone for your insight. I think that's really helpful when giving students opportunity to see, what are the benefits to pursuing a music degree at APU. So that's really helpful. This question is based on, are we going to have a choir next year? And my assumption would be yes, but I would love for you guys to answer that. Are we going to have a choir next year? And if so, when are auditions due? Mm-hmm. I know priority is March 31st, but if you have other details and insights, please let us know.
Mm-hmm. So well, first of all, the president of our university, President Ferguson, did announce, I think about a week ago, he says that APU definitely intends to be in person in the fall based upon state and local guidelines, but we are absolutely making a commitment to do that. And we've actually had some students already come to campus, actually just yesterday, in fact, to help out with recitals as well. So we are seeing this light at the end of the tunnel. And I've actually been very hopeful in the things that I've seen in the last few weeks and the direction that things are going. Now, to get more specific to your question about choirs, so once you get accepted to APU, you get accepted in whatever music program that you're in, then we're looking at choir auditions probably being maybe a day or two before school starts. That's kind of what we're looking at right now for auditions for not only the choirs, but the instrumental groups as well, to where everyone comes in on a day or two, they audition for the directors, and then from there you will get your assignment. So it's something that right now you don't have to concern yourself too much with worrying about a choir audition, because right now the big step is just coming and committing to the school, and then from there we'll take care of you.
Wonderful, thank you. And this question I think might be for Professor Beatty. If it's wrong, let me know. But how often do students get to use the recording studios? You're muted, Professor.
Now I'm not. We try to get our students hands-on as much as possible and as often as possible. In the very first semester, most freshmen take a class called Introduction to Music Technology, which lays the groundwork for understanding the way the studio works and understanding the software. And then we have several audio recording courses where students are getting hands-on experience in both tracking as well as mixing, mastering, post-production audio. Lots of games to play in the playground.
Amazing. Thank you for sharing that. And I just want to remind all of our students in the audience that we want you to put your questions into the Q&A. So if you have more, keep bringing them. You guys are a lively group. We've had a lot of questions. And the next question, I just want to shout out whoever this is. Appreciate you for your honesty. And I hope that these professors can give you some really strong insight. And the question is, or the statement is, someone close to me has their mind dead set on me only going to a UC school, okay? As they are unfamiliar with any other school, right? They see them as kind of inferior is the term that the student has used in regards to pursuing a stable career. So, professors, is there anything that can be said to put this person's mind at ease? And this might be good advice for everyone that's sitting in the audience that, has the misconceptions about maybe what music careers might lead you to. So if you guys can share that. I know I heard a little bit about it earlier, but give us some insight.
Okay, first of all, that's the best question ever.
Yes, I appreciate the honesty.
That is just the best question. And I don't know who you are, but you should receive a medal for that question. That's just great. Well, I think there are several ways to answer that, and I'll pick one, and I know that everyone's going to want to chime in on this. Our commercial music is a very relational industry, and it thrives on who we know and who knows us. And that includes the faculty that we know, because when we finish college, the people that were our teachers become our peers. That relational aspect is, to me, of primary importance. There are a lot of jobs in the music industry where no one is ever going to ask you where you went to college, but they sure are going to respect you if you're referred to by someone that they trust. And that's so critical as I say, it's so essential to success at our business. And that has no bearing whatsoever on the type of the school. It has to do with the health of the program of that school and an examination of who's teaching there and what do those people do that teach there and what happens to the students who've been there. That's really the place to do some investigating. And I think that's a place that we really shine, because we are, as Dr. Martin has said, we're not siloed. We're very interactive with each other, and we're very engaged in the idea of relationship building as an essential ingredient to having a career. I hope that helps.
And then let me add to what Professor Beatty is saying, that with our faculty that we have here, they are as accomplished as you might get in any other school. Any UC school, Cal State school. We have had faculty members who've actually left USC and says, well, I just want to teach at APU now. We have some members of the LA Philharmonic who only teach at APU. That's the only place that they want to teach. And I've had other faculty members who play in the studio says, well, I'm working on having my students play in the studios one day and then teaching them how to do that. With a lot of the students that we get here, they say so much how the faculty cares for them and they want to see them get to that next level. And as Professor Beatty also said, it's also the relationships that you make here, that the friends that you make here are likely the friends that you will have for life and are the ones that will recommend you for gigs or come alongside and want you to partner with them because they've seen not only what a good musician you are, but what a great person and great character you have. And of course, it's important to remind everyone we are, of course, a Christian institution, that God is first for us. And that's something that absolutely sets us apart. And with other schools, you may get a great music program, but faith is frowned upon, honestly. And then you may get other schools where, the Christian atmosphere is terrific, but the music program, maybe not so much. And I think that's what makes us special, is that we have both a high quality musical education along with a very deep-seated faith. And you're in classes with people and with professors who share the same faith that you do and understand what it is that you may be going through in a way that I think other schools, certainly the UC school, would not be able to do.
Yeah, and I'll just chime in on a couple things here too. There are varying levels of excellence in music programs, even within the UC system. Some not all that great, and then others a little bit better. And just last year, APU was ranked in the top 10 music schools in the state of California, not based on Christian higher ed, based on all of higher ed. So I think it's really interesting when you consider that, in addition to the level of reputation, and this is really, a strength for APU.
I know we're spending a lot of time on this, and there's a reason for it, because it bears on everyone's decision making, right? Why here and why there, why not here? Let me just throw in one additional thing. Every faculty member at APU is just a knock on the door away. some of the larger UC schools, many of the classes are not taught by the professors. They're taught by teaching assistants. And sometimes the professors are not very accessible. But we are all literally, knock on my door, I open it, what do you need? And I think that speaks really highly of the fact that we're big enough to be vibrant and have all these different groups, but we're still small enough that we have personal relationships with our students.
Right. And a few years ago, I'll also throw in one stat that U.S. News and World Report put APU in the top 8% of universities in the U.S. for employability, meaning the chance of you getting a job in your chosen field. We're in the top 8% of schools in the U.S.
Great. Thank you so much for sharing all that information, everyone. And thank you for the student that asked that question. These are important, I think, like concepts and misconceptions that we want to challenge. And so I'm so thankful that all of these professors are here to be able to answer those for you all clearly. So we have about 10 minutes left, students, get into the closing of our time together. So we want to get all those questions in if you have them. We do have a few left, so we want to make sure that we answer those. But specifically in regards to questions regarding scholarships, and either professor can chime in on these, but what groups on campus allow students to earn scholarships? And are those specific to music majors, like declared music majors, or can you get a scholarship being a non-music major? What does that look like? And I know I get the question a lot. What's the amounts? How do they vary? You don't have to give us any specific dollar amounts, but is that based on talent? I know it's a lot of questions, but how would those work?
So the for ensembles and for scholarships, the way the School of Music works is that it's based on talent and need of our program. So from there, you will be given an offer of scholarship. And after that point, there are certain expectations once you get the scholarship. So if you get a scholarship, you may be asked to perform, say, in 2 ensembles rather than 1, as is the catalog requirement, but something also to fulfill your scholarship. The scholarships are largely for, actually, they're only for music majors only. So if you are a non-major and you want to perform in a group, you're absolutely welcome to do that, but there wouldn't be any scholarship money that's tied to that. But as far as amounts, I mean, it's all over the map with how much we might give, from somewhere in the thousands to helping a student pretty much cover full tuition.
Great, thank you. That's the point, and just what we needed. For our next question, we have, if you submitted a performance for undergraduate music audition, when will you get the news? So I think that goes for any audition or scholarship. How long after they submit their auditions for the scholarshiping or just for a musical group, do they receive news if they were accepted?
Usually, I think it takes a few weeks for us to, so once you've been accepted to the university and you fulfilled all your financial paperwork and all of that, then some area in the university, which I don't know who it is, but they bundle everything together. And then it comes down to the School of Music. And then from there, it goes to our scholarship committee. What we do is we have kind of a full financial picture of you coming in, whatever grants you have, what academic scholarships you might have. And then from there, we will grant a music scholarship. But usually it takes a few weeks for all of that to happen. So if you've done all that, just be patient. You will be reviewed soon, I'm sure.
Wonderful, thank you. I know you guys might be excited and the anticipation is building, but hold tight, okay? All right, the next question, I find this so endearing and I really hope that one of our professors has a great answer for you. This is our tuba player who's watching in the audience. She doesn't currently have the funds to buy her own tuba. Are there scholarships or physical tubas, or what resources do we have for a student who is talented but just doesn't have an instrument that they have as like their personal instrument?
Liz, we do have school tubas here. So when you decide that you want to come to APU, just talk to me or probably Professor Beatty, and then we can get you set up.
Beautiful. Oh, I love that so much. And I think that sets us apart. Who knows what other universities have, and I'm thankful the APU is willing to provide that. All right, we're coming to our last question that we have from the students in the group. So if you have anything burning, get it to us soon. But this question is, how common is it for students at school to double major with music, composition, and jazz studies? And is that something you would recommend? Maybe Dr. Martin or Dr. Beatty can answer that.
You're muted again, Professor Beatty.
Thank you. We don't have a jazz studies program per se, but there's a very large jazz component in our commercial music program. So, and I believe we talked about this right at the beginning too, but it is absolutely possible to double major. Would I recommend it? I would say, well, it's going to take some extra time. It's going to be more work. But by all means, if that's something that you have a heart to pursue, we will do everything we can to support and get you going in the right direction. Just plan on it taking probably more than 8 semesters.
And to that point as well, we also have a number of students who double major in music and the honors college, and they are able to do that in 4 years' time. So that's considered a double major by virtue of being a part of the honors college. And there really seems to be a joint kind of synergy there between what they're learning in honors and their work in music as well.
Amazing. Thank you for sharing that. And I know we've talked a little bit about kind of what double majoring looks like. So we appreciate all that information. For all of you that are in the audience, this is being recorded, so you can always refer back to it if you have questions. But I do want to leave us with a little bit of a lasting anecdote, and then I would ask for some advice from the professors. But I will say, personally, I just love the School of Music so much. I got married in 2018, and I had a, what do they call them, a quartet of sorts. And they're all APU students who played at my wedding. They did the music for me. It was the best. One of my favorite trumpet players you guys have, his name is Hayden. He played at my wedding, love him. So if you need an internship and I have a friend that's getting married, I will let you know, okay? That would be fantastic. So I just have a special affinity towards the School of Music. So thank you everyone for sharing a little bit about your departments today, answering all of these questions that these students have. And I hope that APU is a home that you guys see in your future, and that these programs are desirable, and that you have taken a little bit back. And hopefully you can go tell your friends about, you know, what you heard today and convince them to come to APU, where we are incredible and amazing and serving God in the best way possible. And so what I ask is for our professors, if you are able, what piece of advice would you leave these students with that helps them navigate career, vocation, maybe their college of choice, right? What piece of advice would you give them in this pursuit? We'll start with Dr. Martin, and then we'll go to Dr. Russell, and then Dr. Beatty.
Yeah, well, first of all, thank you all for being here. It's been a delight just to have this conversation. And so we certainly want to encourage you in your discipline and in your craft. And I think all of us here would support the notion that there really is something unique and powerful about music. It speaks to us. It does. It speaks to us in ways that no other medium or discipline quite does in the same way. So this is a wonderful community of folks here who are supportive and like-minded along those lines. And that is a privilege in and of itself, to be working alongside individuals who have that same passion and drive. So we're excited about what we get to do, and also excited, hopefully, to get to meet each of you here soon.
And to add what Dr. Martin was saying, we are, of course, in such a strange time that we, with this whole pandemic. And I think what all of us have realized more than anything else is how important music is, and how important music making is. And so for all of you who are here, who are watching, we need you. The world needs you. We need musicians to play their very best, to honor God through their instruments as well. And so you would be coming to APU at kind of a crossroads in in kind of history, if you look at it as we're coming out of this pandemic, to make music and to realize just how special it is. And I'm going to put in my email in the chat. So if any of you would like to talk to me directly, you are, of course, welcome to do that. And I'd be happy to talk to you as well.
Amazing. Professor Beatty?
That's a really good question. That's a tough one. I think we sometimes think that music is somehow an irrational choice. That if we pursue our passion, that's a foolish choice. And we here at APU try really hard to encourage students who pursue their passion and say, okay, great, you know, this is something that you feel deeply inside about wanting to do, and our job is to get you to that next step. Our job is to point you in the right direction and to get you to where you want to go in a way that's going to make it possible for you to still have a great quality of life and to make an impact, like Professor Russell said. The world is going to need more from the arts than ever before when we come out of this. And we've worked really hard with our current students to position them to be at a point of readiness when that happens, because I think there's going to be an explosion of the arts when this is all over. And so I think the door is going to be wide open. And don't be afraid to pursue your passion, as long as you're also willing to work really hard while you do it.
Wonderful. Thank you all so much for sharing. That is so fruitful. And I think the way that students receive that. So if you are here and you're watching today, thank you for joining us. I hope that you take all of this information, process it, and hopefully in the fall, call APU your home. We are looking forward to seeing you as part of any of our musical groups or ensembles and our music programs. And our faculty have put their emails into the chat. So write those down quick before we end this. If not, you can always go back and refer to it later on, but we thank you. You can reach us at COTA@apu.edu, College of the Arts, and write down these professors' names. You have Professor Martin, Professor Russell, and Professor Beatty. They are all people that you can direct questions to if you have any questions at all. Okay, well, thank you again. We hope you have an excellent evening, and we'll talk to you all soon. Bye.